I have been ordered to make a funny joke.
Not by me.
To represent my dad's humour. I've known Tanya for a very long time, in fact.
Well done.
I've known her all my life. Yes. So I can still remember when this all started, all those years ago. At the time, I had no idea who Fleance, son of Banquo, was, and I was yet to meet Rachel and Rosie. Little did I know that I was about to live out their story, as it was weaved and moulded by one of the best storytellers I know, my mother. Living with an author has unique experiences. Imagine your mum coming into the living room, quite cross. What's happened? It's Fleance, he's done something so stupid. Or imagine her in tears, quite upset, having killed off one of her beloved characters. Many times I've helped her act out fight scenes, and many times I have fastidiously combed through the precious drafts, pulling it to pieces and asking the hardest questions about each sentence. What's the point of this? Why is this here? Mum, what do you tell your students? Show, not tell. I've grown up with a very honest mother. Now she can count on me to say the hard stuff too. It takes quite a brave woman to hand over that which she has worked so hard on, only to have it critiqued and questioned. But my mum is brave, and you'd have to be to face the great task of finishing this trilogy. I've seen her put so much of herself into these books, and that passion shows as you read them. She has researched 11th century Scotland and combined this with her love of Shakespeare to create such a realistic and full of life version of the aftermath of Macbeth. While it's been hard, every effort my mum has put into this trilogy, and especially the third book, has been worth it. Her writing style is engaging, and the dialogue flows so nicely. I can vividly imagine each character and the situations they're in. Even though I lived the story, I still couldn't stop myself late at night, just one more page, just one more chapter. Even though I knew what was coming, I still cried at the saddest parts and was still moved at the poignant moments. You really feel the weight of each choice, the tension of each situation that is less than ideal. The struggle between destiny and free will underlines Fleance's journey. The well-known question, why do bad things happen to good people, is explored by each character and gives the reader the opportunity to find their own answer within the pages. And while my family and I are so relieved that we no longer have to hear, "Ooh, can I just read this bit to you?" we are so excited to be able to celebrate this achievement with all of you here tonight. So would you please join me in congratulating my mum Tanya on the launch of the third book of Banquo's Son Trilogy, Birthright.
E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā waka, e taunei, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. One of the things I say about Māori is it's like brief. So the English translation is kind of like something you see in a improvisation skit where someone says something and then someone gives a really long translation. So the really long translation for me for that greeting is those of you, all of you here, bring your experiences, those your mana, you come from different places with your waka, you come with different dialects, different languages, and we gathered here under one roof for this occasion. Welcome for us all to be here. When I was at primary school, I remember watching a British television program series about an invalid girl who was confined to her bed. She could only see the world outside through her window. However, her mother gave her a sketching set, and that's when the trouble began. What she drew came into existence the next day. A lighthouse, a boy in a lighthouse. I just feel like I'm kind of doing a mimicking level 2, level 3 speech exemplar for my students at the moment. Please, no assessments here. Sorry, a lighthouse, a boy in that lighthouse, rocks, which later became angry rocks with eyes, and the ability to move and hunt. I don't know what it's called. If you can remember what it is, please tell me. I really want to watch it again.
Marianne Dreams.
What is it called?
Marianne Dreams.
Marianne Dreams.
Catherine Store.
Based on a book.
We have it. I'll let you.
Thank you. That was good. I also love the illustrated children's book, Harold and the Magic Crayon, a wordless story about a curious 4-year-old boy who, with his purple crayon, created his world simply by drawing it. Back then, I was fascinated by the idea that one had the power to make things happen, even though one might be powerless in other ways. As a child, I was often at a place of sadness and fear, so the possibility of being able to create a better, happier world was as strong a desire as perhaps those of you who wished you could fly. The television program and the book were also cautionary tales, and relevant today because the warning, careful what you wish for, or careful what you say and think it might just come true, is in some respects the blessings and the curse of being a writer. When I woke that morning way back in 2008 from a dream of a young boy hunting a deer in the forest, man, that really sounds a bit kind of creepy, doesn't it? It wasn't one of those dreams, but I dreamt about this boy and I knew that he was Banquo's son, and I wondered where he'd been for 10 years. I had no idea how big a story it was to become, how difficult it was going to be to write, and how hard I and my family would find the road on which we had to travel for the next 6 years. It has taken that long, from first inkling of an epic tale to the launch of this. Didn't I just have the book?
It's right there, by the cap.
Oh yeah. This, the third and final book. Banquo's son was banged out most of one summer, and many of the students here, well, you're not kids anymore, you're all grown up. Their blood and tears went into that first book, but we wrote it over a summer, because I can say we did it. Bloodlines took a year to write, but Birthright has been a more reluctant issue. When I started this book, I thought I knew what the characters would say and do and think. But who am I? I'm really just the stupid mug that has all these characters rattling around in my head, and I'm there to try and sort out their problems. And they were big problems too. The ones we ask ourselves in those dark, sleepless nights when we feel most alone, most isolated, most afraid. Questions like, why do bad things keep happening to me? Why should I be the one to carry the load? What's wrong with wanting to pull the duvet over my head and stay in bed? And probably the toughest and most honest question of all, if God is almighty and loving, where the bloody hell is he? It felt a lot of the time that Fleance, Rachel, Rosie, and later Bree, and that's not Brianna, it's not Brianna, seriously, it's a totally different character. She's much nicer, much nicer. Bree were looking to me to help them find the answers to these questions. All I could do, I confess, is to actually think up the most awful situations to put them in and watch them deal with it. I think it's called tough love. It's what we writers do. Perhaps we are a little like the boss in Catherine Mansfield's The Fly, or as Gloucester says bitterly to King Lear, as flies to wanton boys are we to the gods, they kill us for their sport. I put that there just for you guys, just because you go, oh, I know what she's talking about. But I am also a person of hope, and I want happy endings. That's why I always teach the short ink redemption with my year 13s. It's the most hope-filled story that I have in my DVD collection. Because you can't appreciate a happy ending, I think, if you haven't suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune first. So I apologise in advance for what you're about to experience in the reading of Birthright. But I hope, like me, you too will be left with a few tears among the smiles as you turn the last page. Before I shut up and sit down, I want to publicly acknowledge some people, many of whom are in the author's acknowledgement, the part that only writers read, by the way. We all just turn to the acknowledgement. Ooh, I know that person. But I admit I'm not a bad storyteller. But I could not have produced this without my publisher Penguin and my wonderful editor Katie Howarth and her team of intrepid editors and proofreaders. I spent so long in my head with this story, and I had so many false starts that I did lose my way a bit. Katie, patient and astute, drew me back onto the straight and narrow, And if you were here at the last book launch, I can assure you there will be no misplaced or lost horses in this story. I am so fortunate to have had Katie helping me these past few years, and she should also be credited with how beautiful the story and the novel turned out, because it's so pretty. And I don't care that it's a white horse, because there isn't really a white horse, but it's still so pretty. I think it's really pretty. Okay, that's a girl can do. I don't think you'd ever hear a male author say that about their book. It's so pretty. Okay. This book is dedicated to the memory of Chloe Anson, a remarkable young woman and a talented writer who I met in 2006 and whose company I really enjoyed for a number of years. Try not to cry. As she made her way up through the secondary school. And Annabelle, where are you? Do you remember, where's Annabelle? Do you remember when you guys were Banquo's daughters for the book quiz? Yeah. That was so sad. I kind of wasn't sure how that went. But anyway, that was, yeah, she was at school and I enjoyed teaching her, and I said to her mum Anna tonight that I was so glad that I told her how the trilogy ends before she left school. She said, please tell me how it ends. So I did. And I want her parents and Anna, who's here, and family to know that, in a way, this is my way of keeping alive all that Chloe meant to me, and I hope you'll take comfort in this, my meagre offering to honour her. I wish to publicly thank and honour my husband, Philip, who has, reluctantly I'm sure at times, stood steadfastly beside me and often behind me, holding me up. Together we have navigated this tumultuous time of parenting teenagers, managing careers, studying at university, and living with me, a writer who spends as much time in other places inside my head as I do in the real world. And as much as I had a crush on Fleance Philip, he doesn't hold a candle to you. My daughters, Mackenna and Brianna, have watched their mother battle with those questions I mentioned earlier, both in the writing of books but also in my own life. But like my main characters, they possess an indomitable spirit and absolute goodness that cannot be extinguished by the cruel and incomprehensible behaviour of others. I am so proud of both of you, and they look so pretty tonight. You know, Brianna's usually in jeans and riding boots, and
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, and Mackenna's in gumboots, and yeah, so they look like girls today. I have put away the purple crayon, and I promise I won't get out the sketch pad for a while, although how long I can hold at bay the other stories and characters who wait in the wings, I cannot say. Thank you, Kay, and the Dunedin Public Library's hosts, and also to UBS, who are always supportive of local and New Zealand writers. I'm glad you could join me tonight as I launch this final chapter of Flea's story into the big wide world. Ko te mōtanga tēnei. This is the end. Kia ora, kia ora. Thank you.